you start us off in the evening in kind of your movement home. We see you in a section of pure dance from Kathak. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about why you decided to have your part of, or your point of departure be the same point of departure you offered to us as we start this evening.
Because I believe that the essence of my training was Kathak. And if you look at all the other pieces, you know, there's a great percentage of lights, music, and it almost becomes a part of the choreography. But what I wanted to do was dip Kathak in acid and put it on stage. So I wanted to take away everything, all the decoration. You know, I wanted to wear plain white. I wanted the lights to be really plain and really show the essence or the energy of the dance. Because it's through that energy that this seed of rising has grown.
Let's start with your second question first, which is about the extraordinary footwork in Kathak and the variety of sounds that you get out of your bare feet. And could you just talk about how that's part of the form itself of Kathak?
So you have the flat footwork and you have the heel work as well. And it's bringing out the percussive sounds of the tabla. And we have the vocalization of it as well, which I haven't used. So we have a time cycle, and we have sounds like da, kita, tita, tita katagadegina, da. And we use these to make a composition of like 16. So if I give you an example of how we use mathematics in 2s, 3s, 5s, and 9. So if you think of my fingers, each gap is one beat. So you have 4, 8, 12, 16. So I'll just do a composition, and if I finish here, that means I've ended on the correct mathematical time cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's how a time cycle works. So the time cycle is constant, and the composition in between that, and that's a very basic composition. We use sounds like dadagada gatunga dagidigita dadin dadeta kidada taka tunga takita 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 taka 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 dati tikita gadigina dadagada gatunga kritati dan dan da dadagada gatunga kritati dan dan da dadagada gatunga kritati dan dan da. So we have these
So you're making a choice to just have us hear the rhythmic elements from
and
the
this
feet.
brings out, and each composition has a speciality of the feet and the hands and the weight of it, or how soft it is, or how forceful it is, and that's something that comes from the tradition of Kathak, and the speed is also a part of it as well. We have different speeds. We have the slow speed, which I didn't do, and then we have the middle and fast and very fast.
You know, in thinking about the next piece, choreographed by Akram Khan, who was the person who saw you performing Kathak and was really somebody who invited you to take this journey. I'm curious about how quickly you began to trust him, because it's so very different what you do in his work from what your preparation as a classical dancer had prepared you to do.
I think I had a lot of trust in him from the beginning, because I felt like there was a lot in common. So he was a British Asian, so was I, second or third generation, same here. And he had trained in Kathak, which was most important. And he had really departed from it, but also retained a really strong root of Kathak. But I remember on my first ever meeting, so he saw me years before that, he saw me dance at the Opera House. I accidentally got selected for a piece. I went for a workshop, and the choreographer, who's now 87, I think she was still maybe at least 70-something at the time. And she said, everyone else had auditioned, and I was the only one who hadn't auditioned because I had no intent of staying. So I was there for the workshop, and she says, you have a nice strong back. You must stay. And that was it. I was in the piece. So my back has actually helped me a lot. So the journey started literally low down, and then it worked its way up. And then he saw me perform that piece that choreographer had made on us, and she's a legendary Kathak exponent, quite funny. And then he said to me as soon as I came off stage, he said, you know, you remind me of myself when I was young. You remind me of myself, and you have the same passion. And everything he said really connected with me straight away. It's almost like he had lived my life. So instantly there was a sense of trust, and I texted him and I said, you know, I feel this way. So from that point onwards, if I trust someone, I trust them with my whole heart. I don't look back.
So could you say something about your emotional preparation for that piece? I mean, from my experience as an audience member, it's one of the eeriest dance pieces I've ever seen in my life, and we've just seen you in this very unadorned way, you know, 5 minutes before, and then you take us into this other world. So what is it like for you inside it?
When I first did the piece, it was very tough, because the character comes from something I made for his research years before that, which he never used. And I remember he asked me to learn an 8-minute monologue to speak on stage. And for me, my memory is so bad. So I sat there for like 3 weeks, learning every inch of it. And then he asked me, he said, okay, speak. So I started to yabba and talk, and he had the paper in front of him. Then he just put an X in the first paragraph and said, okay, carry on next paragraph, an X, an X, an X. So by the end of it, there was one line. So 8 minutes got reduced to one line. And then in the end, he just cut that out, and I was gritting my teeth thinking, you know, you made me waste like 3 weeks of my life learning this. And he goes, why don't we go back to that character you created for the research? I said, okay, let's go. And the character was based on, it's a silly story, but I was training with this choreographer, the old lady, the strange one. I hope she doesn't hear me saying that, you know, she's a legend, I shouldn't say that. And I was in her institute, and there was a monkey sitting on the side, a langur monkey, you know, just sitting like this. And I thought, how sweet, let me go up to it. And it just gave me the look. And the eyes and the teeth stayed, it imprinted, it was like a picture, it stayed in my mind. So that's how I took that character and the sound of that character. And I love animals, I'm obsessed with them. I mean, I used to do an amazing Bambi when I was younger. My family used to say, do it again, do it again, do it again. So that's one of my pastimes, and yes, to jump around the field. So this is like home for me.
Yeah, good.
And back to the question of doing this piece, it was really tough because psychologically, Akram really played with my mind a lot to get that, the essence of that piece out. And I mixed it with a character of like almost this Gollum-like character. And he believes in accidents. And I think I was just messing around in the studio, and I stuck. Because he made me do the whole rehearsal bare top. I used to hate it. And he made me stick, I was just like playing around, and my shoulder blades popped out. And he said, keep it, this is how it's going to begin. And that's how it all began.
Excellent. So I was thinking about Russell Maliphant's piece, and for some reason I've decided that is the closest in some ways to Kathak because of the specificity of where you have to be in space and time. Could you talk a little bit about the discovery of light and how it's such an important component in that work, but also where you are in it is so detailed and rich.
Russell always works in collaboration with Michael Hulse. He's also done Akram's piece as well. He's an amazing light designer, and he loved me because I was able to be really specific as to where he wanted me to be at which second. You know, so for Michael it was a dream, and for me it was just what I did naturally, right? Because of timing. But Russell, if I give you a little insight into the piece, a year before I actually started, he said, okay, let's audition you. So he auditioned me. And that was the first time I was doing any contemporary, so I never rolled on the floor. I had no idea what I was doing. I went into his studios and he said, okay, start warming up. So I started warming up. And then as I was warming up, he goes, okay, move this way, move that way. And he kept giving me instructions. And in my head, I thought, to hell with it, who's going to see me? So I started diving on the floor and jumping and doing my version of contemporary dance, which is completely, and then 2 hours later, when I was half dead, he goes, oh, okay, thanks, and he pressed stop. So he was recording everything I did. And, oh, no, that's it. This is not going to happen. He's going to look back at it and he's going to think, okay, he needs to go and, learn about life first before he comes to me. And then he said, I see that there's an articulation in you that I can work with. I said, okay. So a year later, I came back to the first day of official rehearsals, and he had edited the warm-up, and he had made it into a 10-minute sequence. So my sequence was set before I'd begun. But you know, with choreographers, you have to be really careful. You have to do everything accidentally. So when they ask you to do something and you know it's not working and you want to add a move in there, you accidentally add a move. And so I always do that. When I'm working with Akram, Russell, Larbi, Damian, Aditi, anyone, I accidentally add a move and they think they've made it. So that makes them feel happy.
I want to hear about some of the happy accidents in Sidi Larbi Cherkaoui's Constellation, because so there's all the physical challenges of the movement you're doing, but there's also all of this other stuff you have to keep track of: where you are in space, managing the lights, where have you been, and where do you need to go? And could you just talk about how you started to work together? I mean, I heard you say in an interview that you first started working with him, mostly he just wanted to see you move, and so you started doing yoga. But then you get to a very different place in the movement vocabulary in this piece.
So if I go a little before that, so Anand, my producer, said, okay, we have to go and meet Larbi. I landed from India, slept for a few hours, got on the train, then went to London, London to Brussels, Brussels to Antwerp, went and we met Sidi Larbi and we sat on the table and he goes, okay, can you show me a clip? And I had the dirtiest, horrible, most, horrible Kathak clip. I didn't have any videos. So I said, okay, here's one. And he said, interesting, you're more flexible than Akram. That was his his comparison, because they had worked together. And he said, okay, we'll work together in December. So for the first week, he just did yoga with me, nothing else, yoga. And I'm thinking, where's this going, And he's sitting there stretching with me, stretching and just doing yoga. And on the first day, there's a piece called Phone. I don't know if anyone's seen Phone, Sidi Larbi's Phone. I mean, you have to be like James O'Hara. He's this super athletic dancer, and it's a crazy piece. He goes, why don't you go and learn that? I'm busy for a few hours, go. So he threw me into that. So that was the first shock with Larbi. And then on the last day, he said, so what have you done with Russell? And I showed him a video, and he said, okay. In the last half an hour, he showed me this phrase. So the whole week of yoga, nothing. And I showed him, and then it was very alien to me to go to the floor, because my training is upright. And I felt really odd. And I had a gap of 5 weeks where I went to work in India, and I was determined to get into the character of it. And the second time I felt more open with Larbi, and we started to talk about, the Devadasi Tavaif tradition, and there was a lot I found in common with him, and he says we're very similar, so we started to talk about ideas. So this idea developed because of my name. Aakash means sky. So he wanted to develop a piece which is about constellations in the sky, and this idea of when we look at them, they're very one-dimensional, very 2D, but in actual fact there's a lot of depth. So he wanted this idea of, starting the universe from one point, or the energy from one point, and how it spreads around the space and sort of comes back to this one point, this one collection point. And in the beginning, when we started working with these bulbs, there's a lot of smashing, a lot of glass. Larbi he's amazing with props. He had all these fabulous ideas. So all of the bulbs were released from the sides. The first day, I remember. And they were meant to swing like pendants. You have that, I don't know what it's called.
A pendulum,
yeah. And they follow each other and create this DNA pattern, and he wanted all of that. So they released them, and obviously they all crashed. So that idea was out the window. And then slowly, we started to develop this, and he's really great with, working with objects, and I learned a lot from him. But I remember one incident when he told me in terms of movement and how to relate to this place, to the set. He said, the movement is it's got to come from your kidneys. It's really got to come from the kidneys. I said, okay, kidneys, movement. In Kathak, we don't do kidneys. Heart, soul, and all of that, but kidneys is the first time I could swinging the kidneys around. So that's how that piece happened, where I swing the bulb in the end, no. But for him, it was really about the internal and how it connects to the external. I think that's what he was trying to say.
So I think it's striking that the opening and the closing, there's the reality of the set change that has to happen, but there's also something that feels like there's something sacred and prayerful in the beginning and that in the closing moment. And could you just say something about the shaping of Rising overall?
I really like to end where I begin. Kathak is very circular. The time cycle has no beginning, no end. And I believe the same is with life and death as well. I don't believe that we die and that's the end. I believe the essence or the energy transfers and it moves on. So for me to come back to this point of zero again is really important. And you know, even in the piece, when I start my Kathak piece, it starts very calm and then it explodes. But then it goes back to calm. And the same here as well. So overall, I wanted the piece to really end with a sense of thoughtfulness. And I also feel that it's really important not to always throw on the audience. I think when you make something or you become introvert, all of a sudden people also want to come into your world. And in the whole evening, you see different variations and different shades. But in this one, I really wanted to bring people into the soul. And I wanted it to be a window into the soul and the sense of life and death and the sense of just life.